All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And hopefully we don't get thunderstorms and we have some good weather here. But one thing I wanted to talk about today was who we are and what we should really be, doing. We talk about prospecting all the time. I know Jody talks about it. I talk about it. Ryan talks about it. Kelly talks about it. Sandy is on the call. She talks about it. Jerry talks about it. We all talk about prospecting, 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 which you need to do. And that's not what I'm going to talk about too much today. But ironically, Kelly, Ryan, and I were on a call yesterday with the number one real estate team in Nashville. And obviously, if you don't know, Nashville is booming. His agents must prospect 2 hours a day. And if they don't prospect 2 hours a day, they get asked to leave. Not the team, the company. So really, when we say prospecting is a big piece, his average agent sells 24 houses. And if they fall below 20, they are asked to leave the company. So if you can imagine, like, prospecting is a big part of their business. But prospecting is, and like I talked about, people should be prospecting a couple hours a day. We say that, and it was nice for him to say that, but he's also a Mike Ferry disciple, and we hear that a lot, prospecting there. But one thing I want to talk about is, and before you even prospect, it's important to kind of know what's going on. And the one thing that I've heard recently, I talked to Sandy about this down in Florida last week, and I had a couple agents reach out to me this week, and it was very much about pricing my home and where my home is at. And geez, this home came on the market, and yes, we're hearing in Connecticut, like, things fly off the market. They're going like crazy. But being able to have conversations, and it goes into a lot of things we've always talked about. And I think Kelly just did this last month on a company-wide meeting, was mindset, right? Mindset is so important, right? You having the right attitude, having that mindset to do it. Because if you're ready to go out there and conquer the day or do those things, and you can have, here's my checklist for today, and I'm crossing them off as I go. And sometimes I write something down that I've already done. Like, I just wrote down, actually, when I got into the office with Ryan, walk. I crossed it off because I did go walking this morning, but it was another thing I accomplished. But having that mindset and everything, but when you have that right mindset and everything, and when you're talking to people, you have to know the market and know what we're doing. The number one thing, according to NAR, that people look for in their agents is market knowledge. And when you go on the top few things, it's market knowledge, it's accessibility, it's trust. But market knowledge of real estate is the most important thing that comes up. And what does that look like? What does it mean? Because to have market knowledge, to know what's going on in your community is very different to a lot of people. And I want to use this example. If I was walking my dog and somebody said, "Hey, how you doing? Good. How's the market?" "Oh, it's good. We don't have a lot of inventory. Homes are flying off the market, but we're really busy." That's a nice conversation. But then the other thing is, too, is as I'm walking my dog and I live in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I look at this every single week, and I kind of keep it pretty generic with our average sale price and then the town. But when somebody says to me, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on in the real estate market?" Oh, instead of just saying what I just said is, "Oh my God, the market is really dynamic." Right now, to be honest with you, our inventory is down over 50% from pre-COVID. Right now, homes in West Hartford, we have less than 11 days on the market. There's only 10 homes on the market between $300,000 and $500,000, and we're getting over $235 per square foot. And in the whole town right now, we actually only have 30 homes on the market. I think we're at 29 when I looked yesterday. Now, think of that different conversation, right? How's the real estate market? And if I'm in Stratford with Amber and I say, "Hey, how is the real estate market?" And she says, "Oh, it's great. We don't have a lot of inventory, but homes are going for a really high price, blah, 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 blah." Great conversation. But it's different than saying, "Oh my God, well, our inventory is down 50%. Right now, we only have 16 days of inventory of single family homes in the market, and we're getting $228 on average price per square foot." That's very different, right? That's very different. And the reason I'm bringing this up is we've had conversations in Florida and in Connecticut about pricing homes. And we've actually do have homes in Connecticut that sit. Expectations from the homeowner will sit there and say, "I expect my home to have 30 showings, 10 offers by the time I figure out what I'm eating for dinner tonight," right? That is not always the case. because sometimes we look at comps and sometimes we look at past sales, but we need to look at what the market looks like. So I'm going to go back to West Hartford, which I know. There's 10 homes on the market between $300,000 and $500,000, single family homes. I know I'm getting about $230 to $240 a square foot. And homes are going to sell about 105% over asking price. I know that by heart. I know that by heart every single week in the town I live in. So when somebody runs into me at the Little League field or at a soccer field or walking my dog, I can tell them. The other thing I know is when I walk my dog, I know what every single house on the market is on for. So when we walk by and somebody says, "Oh, what's going on with, Nick's house?" Nick's on for $529,900, and I also know that he had a terrible turnout at his open house. Why? Because his home's overpriced. I don't say that, but I know in my head what's going on. So when you are at church, at book club, walking your dog, going on a bike ride, with your friends out for dinner, lunch, coffee, you know real estate. You know what's going on in your neighborhood, in your community. So when somebody says, "Hey, what's going on with Nick's house in the neighborhood?" Well, right now in homes priced like this, we average about $236 a square foot. He's actually priced at $300 a square foot. I know that in my head. Boom. So when we sit here and we want to talk real estate and get involved every day, and we say we're going to prospect 2 hours a day, I need to know what I'm talking about. I need to know the inventory in my town, in my neighborhood to a T. And if Karen, who's sitting here with me, goes, "Hey, how come that house hasn't sold?" I already looked at the pictures. I might not have done a preview, but I looked at the pictures. I know the kitchen's not updated. I know they might not have a good backyard. I know that the house down the street that sold for the same price had a pool or a finished basement. I know that what's going on. I look at that. So I'm thinking of those things. But you have to know your stats inside and out. So when you're having these conversations, people don't sit there and go, "Oh, it was good to see you again, PJ, walking your dog." It's, if I have a question about real estate, I'm calling him. He knows everything. And if you have that, and by the way, when you have that, and if somebody said, "Hey, the house is, somebody's got a 3,000 square foot house and they're thinking of selling it." Well, I know 3,000 times $200 a square foot is 600 grand, and that's going to be another $35 or $40 a square foot. It's going to be probably 680. So in my head, I'm already going, that's going to be under 700,000. 700 would be high. Do I want to go maybe 650 and drive the price up, or knowing that I'm going to get $105 over sales price, or do I want to be at 680, which is going to be the end price? So one thing that I was talking to another one of our agents was, "Hey, the average comps I'm using is this," and they came up with, I think they're going to list it at 400,000, 399.9. And I said, "What's your list price to sale price ratio?" And they didn't have an answer. And I said, "Can you look it up?" They didn't know how, so we talked about it. And all of a sudden, that list price sale price ratio was 108, meaning it was going 8% higher than the 100%. Well, that's the final sales price that he's looking at on his comps. So realistically, those homes are being listed at 360 to 370-ish. It was 372, and they're selling for close to $4. They're going for that $15,000 to $20,000 over asking. So, boom, hey, instead of 399, should we be at 374.9 or 375 even to get that price up? Because if we come in at 399, we might get offers at 360. Flip side is, let's just say we're in part of Florida and we're getting at 95% of list price to sale price ratio. Well, if I have a $400,000 house and I'm listing it at 400, I'm going to get 5% off. I know it's probably going to close around 380. Well, let's just pretend now I don't have 10 days of inventory in the market. I have 30 days. I have 60 days. I have 90 days. Maybe I have 6 months of inventory on the market. I have somewhat of a neutral market leaning in towards a buyer's market. Well, if that's the case, what I'm going to sit there and say is, look, I don't want to list it at 400 and it's going to sell for 380. Maybe I go in at 360. So I'm the most attractive home in that price point, and I get multiple offers. Or instead of your home, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, instead of your home being on the market for an average of 6 months today or 5 months, if I price it here, if your motivation is to sell in the next 2 months, I think we might be one of the first few that sell, and we can accomplish that. And your home's probably going to sell in that range again of 370 to 380. But we're talking about pricing that. But this goes back to knowing that market knowledge, really understanding what's going on in your market. And then it takes off of that. So do you know that there's apartments being built? Do you know that maybe a commercial building was just sold? Do you know that a new restaurant is opening up? Do you know a restaurant maybe just closed? Do you know that they are putting money into the school or building a new high school or putting a brand new, athletic field in? All those things about the town that you know. I go back to the town I live in. I know there's approximately 1,000 apartments that have been approved that are being built in the center of West Hartford. They're really trying to make it a city. I also know too that there's the old UConn campus, and there's been multiple things of housing, some affordable, some not, that's being approved. So when people start talking about things, what's going on in town, I know what's going on. Do you know that there's going to be a new track put in your town? Do you know that they just redid pickleball courts? So you know everything going on in your town, that when it's your friend talking and you're having a conversation about the market or you're prospecting, you can talk about everything going on. I mean, think about this. I'll go back to West Hartford. There are 100 single-family homes under contract today. Some are continuing to show, some are not, but 100. And there's only 29 on the market. So if I put, and I'm averaging, basically 54 a month, I know that if I put a home on the market, I'm going to get 105 over asking. I'm going to know this, but if somebody's coming in, I want to be able to have conversations of what's being built, the new Starbucks going in, this is going on, that's going on, all these different things. And then I'm going to pool that together. And what am I going to do? When I do an open house, I'm going to know all this information. I'm going to have past sold, on the market, under contract, with that at the open house, with a big picture of me and my contact information on it, saying, hey, it was great to meet you. Here's some information on what's going on in the market, homes for sale, and I wanted to share that with you if you have any questions. Feel free to give me a call. I'm just happy to answer any questions you may have about the real estate market. I'm going to give that away. Also, if it's my listing, and I've said this before, I'm not going to list the property on Tuesday. Don't. List it on Friday. Have showing start Saturday at noon. You have 24 hours, and have an open house from 10 to 12 Saturday morning. And have 20, 30, 40, 100 people through that open house and pick up business from it. And if you don't pick up business, you're going to send a letter out to the whole neighborhood that says 14 Maple Ave sold in 3 days, had over 200 people or 50 people at an open house. If you're thinking of selling, contact me and I'll show you how I can drive activity and sell your house quickly. And guess what? Somebody who's thinking is going to say, wait a minute, they got that many people there, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I need to talk to them. And by the way, this is nothing that none of us don't know how to do, but we're taking control of the market. We're understanding what's going on in the market, and we have that market knowledge in the back of our head. If you're in an apartment building, you know what the rents go for. So when you're in the elevator or walking down the stairs or bringing your groceries up, somebody says something, I know rents are this. If you're in a condos, you know what all the condos are selling for. You have that conversation. So if anybody ever asks you, hey, I saw that there's a unit coming on the market, down the street in your condo complex. Yeah, it's blah, 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 blah. You know it. You're not going to have to recite it, but you know everything about it. Oh, I wonder what the Smith's condo sold for. Oh, it sold for $400,000. It sold in 3 days for $400,000. So you know your market and you know what's going on in your market. I know right now, if somebody calls me about a listing in West Hartford, I know a ballpark where that price is going to be without ever even looking it up yet. And then when I look it up, I see what does the pictures look like? What does the kitchen, bathrooms, yard, amenities, anything like that look like? That then I can narrow that down. But I have an idea right off the bat. I know my market. I know what's going on. And if we have that knowledge and we have that information, you're going to be that much more knowledgeable. So when you're at church or at a synagogue or walking your dog or with kids or with friends having a drink and somebody brings up real estate, You're literally selling. Well, right now in West Hartford, there's 29 homes on the market. There's only 10 under 500,000. And our average sale price, we're running at about $230 a square foot. And we go for about 105 over asking. Like, all of a sudden they're going to sit there and go, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't need all of that. And say, well, look, if you ever have any questions about it, you're just going to call me. I can tell you everything you need to know. But that's why I know I can price things pretty quickly in the town I live in. And I try to do that everywhere and understand what's going on. So that's always too, is the question is, if somebody ever says to me, hey, my home hasn't sold, how many on the market? How many homes are on the market between you got a house for 400,000? How many are on between 350 and 450? Now tell me how many are under contract and tell me how have been sold in the last 12 months. Oh, the reason your home's on the market is because it's probably going to take 6 months to sell. But maybe we do a price adjustment or we do something different. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about in that. But the idea is if the consumer wants knowledge, it's the number one thing they want, then you have to have the knowledge. Why do people go to Zillow? Why? It's super easy. I type in an address, I go on my phone, and it tells me the Zestimate. It tells me what's going on. That's easy. But boy, if somebody was just talking to you and wanted to know that information and you could recite it, then that changes the conversation. That changes the dynamic. Because now there's somebody that that they trust you that can have those conversations about the market. So I tell people, and anybody asks me, and if I've coached anybody too, is every single week, and maybe every single day when you're having your cup of coffee or you're sitting down and you're having lunch, it doesn't have to be the first thing in the morning, but you go and look at the market that you live in. So you know it. So if you go to Stop and Shop with hopefully your name badge on, and if you're like Ron Jones, who tells us you always wear it upside down. So somebody says, oh, hey, Karen, you get your name badge is up. Oh, I'm sorry, thanks. And now all of a sudden they just read Century 21 and Realtor.
That's a good idea.
It is a good idea, right? But your name badge is always on. It's the biggest billboard you have. And when you're going to buy celery at Stop and Shop or whatever you got to go, and you're walking into wherever you need to walk into, CVS, anywhere, you're doing that. Hey, walk in and go get your nails done and have your name badge on. As you're doing that, take it off in front of them. You're going to have a conversation. Oh, what do you do? I'm in real estate. You're going to have a conversation. And then you're going to know, well, oh, what's going on? Well, did you know that Starbucks is opening up down the street? And oh, homes are flying right now, as we only have 15 days of inventory in the market. Right now, if a home came on the market, it is, the average days on the market are going to be 30 days and it's going to sell for over asking price. Do you know anybody who's thinking of selling? Because we've got buyers and the market, you're having those conversations. So I tell people every day, at least once a week, look at what's going on in your market. Also, too, when you're listing property, or you're trying to do comps to buy a property, look at sales price to listing price ratio. It's going to give you a really good idea in a $500,000 house when their buyer goes, how much higher do I need to go? Well, on average, I can tell you right now, 30,000. That's the average. That's the average. That means there's people going 30,000 below and $100,000 above, but that's the average. That's our ballpark. That's where we got to be in. Now, but this is giving you all the knowledge you need to know on what you want to do on every end. So every day when you wake up, you should be prospecting, right? Calling, texting, door knocking, figuring that out. You should be doing an open house at least once a month, but twice a month. And doing those open houses to pick up the business and giving people comps, giving people market data, stapling an article together about a new housing development that might be going in or a new subdivision or on all the comps, just listed, just sold, for sale. Giving that information. If they just have questions, give me a call. And so when you're prospecting every day, when you're looking up your knowledge of the market while you're eating lunch or having a coffee, and then you're spending time like following up with past clients and doing that, you're going to really look like that knowledgeable expert in your marketplace. You're not just everyone else. The consumer's looking for knowledge from you, service, so you get back to them, and trust. I have the knowledge. I'm going to get back to you. And you're going to trust that I know what I'm talking about. So by showing that knowledge, you're going to trust you because I'm giving you that knowledge. And I think today, sometimes we just get caught up with looking at what closed. That's where the pricing. I got a buyer. Geez, I don't know how much higher. What do you feel comfortable? How high should we go? Well, let's go over the numbers. Let's look at this. What do you feel comfortable with? But here's what the numbers are dictating to me. $500,000 house. I think, what do we think? Going in 510. I'm going to just be honest with you right now. You're not going to be in the ballpark. Here's what the other ones at 500 close for, and here's what the average is, and here's where you probably need to go. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. I'm not forcing you, but I'm just giving you the knowledge so you can make the best decision you want to make. Pricing a home. Here's what I would do. Here's the range I recommend. Here's what's going on in the market. Here's the average price per square foot. Here's everything we have. What do you feel comfortable with? Here's what I recommend. But what do you feel comfortable with? But if you have that knowledge when you're golfing, walking your dog, like I said, going wherever with friends, and you know what you're talking about, or if you call somebody, or if you go door knocking and you know that neighborhood inside and out because you just took the 10 minutes to research it before, you're going to be the expert. At an open house, you're going to be the expert. So if you think about your day, I wake up, I do whatever, and let's just say at 8:30 in the morning, you start your day. And I'm going to prospect, or I'm going to look up market knowledge, and I'm going to prospect till 11 o'clock, or I'm going to prospect till I make an appointment, whenever that is. And I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to eat lunch, and then I'm going to follow up on all the other stuff I have to do, and I'm going to get my day ready for tomorrow, and hopefully I have a showing that night or an appointment that I'm getting ready for. But if not, it's the next day. I'm doing it all over again. Think about this. If you had all the knowledge you had in all the respected towns from that were on here, Karen's sitting with me in Southington, and she knew all of that. And she said, every single day, I'm going to look up, I'm going to get all the stats for Southington. I'm going to write them down or print them off right in front of me. And then I'm going to go door knocking or cold calling or texting my sphere of influence, whatever they're going to do. And I'm going to talk about Southington real estate. And I'm going to do it every day until I get an appointment a day. Imagine having 5 appointments a week. 5 appointments a week is 20 appointments in a month. You'd be spending every afternoon preparing for that appointment, whether it's a listing or a buyer. Imagine having 20 appointments every month. Let's just say you only close 25%. That's 60 deals a year. Our average sale price is almost $400,000 as a company. That's $24 million. That's over $550,000 in gross commission. Now, that sounds hard, right? $500,000 in gross commission, 60 closings. Wow, that's a lot. Does making 1 appointment a day sound like a lot? It doesn't. It doesn't. And then you figure out how many conversations you have to make an appointment. It might be 10. But if you don't have the market knowledge when you show up to an appointment, or you get somebody on the phone and they go, hey, Amber, it's great talking to you. Yeah, we haven't seen each other in a while. How's it going? Blah, 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 blah. And we have all these different scripts depending on what you're calling for, whether it's an expired, remember, check the do not call list, or you go door knocking. Let's just say Amber and I are going to go door knocking in Stratford. We're going down by the water, and we're knocking on doors in neighborhoods talking about the market. And imagine if somebody says, hey, how are you? Thanks. Well, we're blah, 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 blah. And I don't know the stats. You think they want to work with me? These nice people came by, but I want to know that, hey, we're going through lordship in Stratford, and I know that, oh, by the way, yes, homes are going for $350 a square foot. 2 just closed on Victoria Lawn, and I know everything about what's going on, maybe the development, what's going on with the airport, all those different things. I know everything that's going on. I know Sikorsky's hiring, not hiring. I know what's going on in all the neighboring towns. So now when I door knock and say something and I go, yes, we just recently we're doing some business in the neighborhood. We found that homes are going for an all-time high. They're actually going for on average $350 a square foot. We actually have qualified buyers in this marketplace looking for homes and wanted to see if anybody is, 1, possibly thinking of selling, but 2, even if you're thinking of moving or buying a secondary home, we're just looking for people because we have blah, 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 blah. We go through our spiel. That's a different conversation. And maybe I need to talk to 10 people and 1 person wants to meet with me. But if your goal was to just make an appointment a day, and you did that, and you had that knowledge, the odds are you're going to be able to make an appointment a day. And there's so many different things we can do, which will be next month. But because next month my topic's going to be something different. But you have to have market knowledge, and not just we have no inventory. The average price home now in the state of Connecticut is 550 grand. That's great. Everybody knows we have no inventory. My she turned 17. 17-year-old daughter knows that there's no homes on the market. We need to be above that. We need to know more. And when we have that, we win. And if you break it all down of spending during my cup of coffee, I'm just going to look up the town I'm prospecting in, the town I live in, what's going on, Google real estate developments in, Southington, Connecticut, see what pops up. So same things that the consumer's looking at, right? I know what's going on. And then I say, what am I doing today to get business? I want to get an appointment today. What are you going to do? I don't know. You might walk in a Stop and Shop with 100 business cards and pretend you fall over and drop them everywhere, or just drop a business card in every aisle. You literally could do that. You could go to Starbucks, and as you walk in, you can sit there and say to the manager and say, anybody who comes in for the next 20 minutes while I'm sitting here, tell them that their coffee's on me. Whatever else they're buying is fine, but I'm buying their coffee, and here's my credit card. And when they go through, they say, your credit card is on that gentleman right there. His name's PJ. And you've got your laptop up, and you've got your business cards out, and you've got a bunch of market stuff from Century 21. Boy, that looks different, right? And maybe I only want to spend $50. Maybe I want to spend $60. Maybe I want to spend nothing and just go door knock or cold call. But if you're doing something every day to get business, you're going to be extremely successful. Extremely successful. If you sell our average price as a company, our average price, because, we're not, not everybody's selling $10 million homes in Greenwich and everything like that, and $2 million homes in Wilton. But if you did our average, and if you made, let's just say you could make 2 appointments a week, buyers and sellers, and you end up doing 2 closings. Well, that would be 24 a year. 24 a year would be over $400,000 in gross commission.
Was not a lot.
And Karen just said 24 is not a lot.
It's not that much.
So if you made a goal of doing 2 closings a month and $350,000, $360,000 homes, which there's not a lot of them around, you're going to make, at a 50-50 split, you'd walk home with $250,000. At a 50-50 split, $250,000. So again, though, this goes back to mindset and knowing what's going on in your market. And then if you go out and do it, you'll be extremely successful. Extremely successful. Now, trust me, I get it. We all have bad days. We all have different things going on. We all have to get braces. We all have to, with our kids, which I have to do tomorrow. We have to do different things. And life is there. But if you keep it in your head that I'm going to do this every week. What if it was I made an appointment once a week? I'd have 4 appointments a month. Well, if I close on 50% of my appointments, I do 24 deals. So again, break it all down. And that's where we're here to help you, coach. But I want to take away is know your market. Know your market better than the consumer. Know your market better than the person walking their Labradoodle down the street. Google what's going on. So they're Googling the same articles, but go in the MLS and know, list price to sale price ratio, average price per square foot. How many homes are on the market under 300,000? How many homes are on the market between 300 and 500? How many are on the market in the whole town? To me, it's mind-boggling that in a town of 65,000 people, there's only 29 single-family homes on the market right now active in West Hartford. So it's crazy. But know that number. Don't just say there's no inventory. Know that there's only 29 single-family homes in the market today. How you doing? Oh, it's hot walking the dog, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Know your numbers. You will impress somebody because they're going to go out that day and somebody's going to bring up real estate and say, oh, my neighbor I see walking every day said yesterday there was only 29 single family homes in the market in West Hartford. And guess who they're thinking of? Me, the person they saw walking their dog. Didn't have to do anything with real estate. You go to church, you go to your synagogue, you go to your book club, you go to your golf club, you go to your men's league. How's it going? Tom golfs. How's it going? Oh, it's good. Really busy this week. What's going on in the market? Hey, and he gave a number there, but there's only 13 homes on the market in Wethersfield. 13, that's it. Now, guess what? They're going to go home and tell his wife, hey, I was golfing with Tom today, and there's only 13 homes in the market in Wethersfield. Now, all of a sudden, they're talking about Tom without talking about Tom. And that's why if you give people real knowledge, they'll go to the next place and use your stats, which is very different than saying we have no inventory or the market's better. Know your stats, and all of a sudden they're talking about without talking about it. So, any questions, comments?
I couldn't agree more, PJ. That was excellent.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, good. And, there's other things obviously we'll talk about, but I think sometimes we don't get into and it takes 10 minutes to look these stats up at the most. Look them up at the minimum weekly, look them up daily. When you come into the office and look up the stats, but look them up so you know them. Look at, and he's got all his business cards. Tom ready to give them out. But if you know this stuff, people will talk about you. Where'd you hear that number? Oh, Tom at golf. I heard it from Amber, and sitting there. If you go out for a drink and the bartender is asking, what do you do? I'm in real estate. What do you do? Oh, man, it's kind of wild. Do you know there's only 29 homes on the market in West Hartford? Just 29. I said that so my son's teacher moved to the area, was looking to buy in West Hartford, and he made a comment at graduation. He goes, I can't find a home in West Hartford, and I forget who the realtor was, and I didn't say anything, but I was just like, well, that's because what are you looking for? And they were looking for a house up to $350,000. I said, and this was like 2 months ago, there's 6 on the market. And he goes, yeah, we put an offer on 2 and there's over 40 offers. I said, so Mr. Hill, if you think about that, there's 40 people looking for the same 6 houses every single month. So those numbers are hard. So it was like knowing that, it gave him a different perspective. He was getting frustrated, but then it was like, it's not you, it's the market. But all of a sudden, he then said something to my son after and said, wow, your dad knows a lot about real estate. So know the market really, really well. It changes the conversation. People will talk about the numbers you give them again later on. People love neat stats. I don't know how many people here watch baseball or are baseball fans, but I heard a stat that Tony Gwynn is actually since passed away, but Tony Gwynn was in the 80s and 90s one of the best hitters in baseball, one of the best hitters ever in baseball. So 3 of the best pitchers. Red Sox fans, we all know who Pedro Martino is. We've all heard of Tom Glavine, and I think the other one was John Smoltz. 3 Hall of Fame pitchers. He faced them 330-something times. And here's what I remember. He struck out 3 times. Imagine that. 3 Hall of Fame pitchers. He faced them 300 times and only struck out 3 times. Like, you remember stuff like that. If it's of interest to you, real estate's of interest to everyone, you remember hard stats. So know your numbers. It'll impress people. And then next week when they're talking about it, they're going to think of you because you gave them the stat. And next time you see them, you give them something else. A stat people love to talk about today is, I had 57 people at my open house. And what do? They walk their dog down the street and say, hey, a friend of mine who's a realtor had 57 people at an open house in town. It's a stat. They're thinking of you without talking about you. Make sure you do that. And then when you bring that knowledge into prospecting, you'll be that much more successful. So that's all I have today. Those are my 30 minutes of words of wisdom.
That was really good. It's funny. We're going to Mike Ferry, and he has 6 statistics that he says everyone should know. And it's just exactly what you're saying, what they're looking for. And it's the last 30 days. So right now, in the last 30 days in Southington, there were 21 houses came on the market. 36 went under contract and 43 closed, single
Mm.
family. So it's interesting, when you pull that, it takes 2 seconds.
It does.
Mm.
And you know what? Honestly, if you don't know how to do it, just ping any of us and we'll show you how to do it or walk you through it in the MLS.
Mhm.
Because it
Yeah.
isn't.
Also, what's funny in Weathersfield right now, all there is 12 houses for sale, in Rocky Hill only 5, in Newington only 12. That's
12.
12. It's amazing. And West Hartford right now 31. It's such a rat race. It's unbelievable. You just
Which
have
means 2 came on the market after 8:30 this morning.
I tell you, I've got a couple buyers and I'm trying to keep them positive as heck. We put in 11 offers, anywhere from 30 to 65 over asking price. And I said, listen, you're not the only one. They missed out on every single offer, but it's great that, we're still going, and every day something's going to come on and they're going to get lucky and there's going to be a house for them. So, it's going to be fine.
Yep, and you're right, Tom. And by the way, if you know these stats and can help buyers, it might relax them a little bit and they don't get frustrated like, wow, come I never win. Because there's 12 homes on the market in Newington. The last 3 had over 30 offers. So you're going to compete with 30 other people and they can only take one.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It makes people feel a little bit better, right? It's not me. They don't blame the agent, right? Okay. Like it's crazy land, It's, it's like the lottery almost. We're getting to the point where some of these marketplaces are like, hey, I'm going to go put $5 down on Lotto and I got a 1 in a million chance of getting it. Well, you've got a 1 in 100 chance of getting this house.
Jody, all I know is, being in the business 30 years and going to Mike Ferry and going to Tom Hawkins and going to those, PJ, you're up with them. Ralph Williams.
We'll help you appointment prep, appointments, data, whatever you need.
Are you going to have it at your office?
We're going to have it in more than one office. Like we'll have it in Weathersfield, possibly Southington, and other offices too.
Let me
That's
know.
great.
Let me know. I'll have some fun with you.